welcome everyone here today. We are an open, loving, inclusive community, and I'd like to turn this over to our music team.
Sorry.
Thank you. And now if everyone could just take a minute to stand up, greet someone you don't know, give them a hug, welcome them here. Right there. And then
Mark.
Each of those musicians were just phenomenal, I thought. You know, when they do their solos, especially the drum, my church. Yeah. I love the sax. That was really good too. Cherry.
Mark.
Hi, Mark.
So it looks like we have some people that are new for the first time. And if you are new here for the first time, please raise your hand. We have a gift for you. All right, raise your hand if you're new for the first time, and someone will come to you and give you a gift. In that packet is a card for a free book at the bookstore. And then there's also an information card if you could fill that out. In fact, in order to get the free book, you do have to fill out the information card in there. Then there's several other gifts in there for you. So welcome. And welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. All right.
Did you miss anyone, or did everyone?
Did everyone get one? Everyone get one? Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. All right. Our music team today is Alan Stanley, Cody, Marina, and then we were blessed this morning by having Teresa Mitchell out front with the flute music. So thank you, everyone on the music team.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Good morning. If you're comfortable, place your feet on the floor, close your eyes, and I will read the invocation prayer. Divine Mind is in all things, everywhere present this beautiful, crisp winter morning. Knowing the creative mind knows perfection. Everything in this universe is made of God. God is the ultimate and only reality, as the essence of the sky and the earth, and the strength and stability of the massive mountains, and the fresh air with each breath. The voice of God is heard by the sound of the water against the rocks and shore. The integrated sounds, feelings, and sights of nature are God experienced in us. It is part of our sacred humanity. Source is the treasure chest of patience, love, peace, compassion, and connection. The infinite presence radiates these truths everywhere. There is no place that the divine is not. Today we uncover the perfection within us. I know that we are the power, the presence, and the perfection of God. I know that truth lives forevermore in our being. We are one with the divine and with each other. God is our deepest core, the very center of our being. In our fullness, we express the divine circuit of life and love. God is who we are always, ever present, in every moment. God shares in our sacred humanity. I know this is authentic and true for all of us. We are one with the divine and each other. We affirm divine patience, love, peace, compassion, and connection with each other. I now speak our truth and our word, and I know that today's gathering will bring us to a sacred connection between each and every one of us and God. All of our words and thoughts bring us to the perfect right action for expression of these God qualities, both internally and therefore co-creating the effects of these qualities in the external world with God and each other. And so together we say, and so it is.
I will make a quiet place. I will place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet I will make a quiet place.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. All right, so welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I am Sharon Shores, and I'm one of the practitioners here. Reverend Laura is here 3 Sundays a month, and she right now has a day off and is off traveling, so we just wish her safe travels, and then you'll see her back here, I believe, next week. So, all right, deep breath. Recognition of our shared humanity. Oneness. God is the source of all that is, and God is all that is. Everything in the universe is made of God's substance and is the unique individualized expression of God. So each and every one of us is an individualized expression of God. The triune nature, God expresses itself in 3 aspects: spirit, soul, and body. Each human also has those 3 aspects. Thus there is God as macrocosm, or the large, and then there is also the human beings, or us, as the microcosm, but with the same aspects. So this came from actually Einstein, and I think I lost my mic. You're good? Okay. All right, so a human being is part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He or she experiences him or herself, your thoughts and feelings, as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical illusion of consciousness. This delusion is actually a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our own personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest us. Our task then must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. So our shared humanity, we're going to do a little bit of exercise here, and I would ask you that you do this in silence. So don't respond to someone next to you. But I want you to do this. I want you to stand up and just look around. If you have experienced the loss of a loved one, or you know someone who has experienced the loss of a loved one, go ahead and stand up. You can turn around and look around. All right, you can see everyone has stood up. All right, have a seat. You can get a little bit of exercise in today. All right, stand up if you've looked into a newborn's eyes and experienced a sense of wonder. Okay, have a seat. Okay.
Please stay standing up.
All right, stand up if you've ever been angry with yourself or another. You have to stand up. All right, have a seat. All right. So stand up if you know someone who has lost someone to suicide, or you've had those thoughts yourself. Okay. All right, so have a seat. All right, stand up if you've ever been in love. All right, so I want you to just briefly turn to someone, and I want you to look deeply into their eyes, just for about 30 seconds. All right? Yes, look into their eyes, and just recognize that shared humanity of all things, that shared humanity of the experiences of our lives, okay? Whether they be not so good, what we consider good, bad, or indifferent, but there's a shared humanity there based on our experiences. So I want you to have a seat. But it goes way beyond this, and that's what my message is today about this, okay? So awareness, Laura mentioned it in her meditation about awareness, bringing our awareness up to a level of awareness. There's been around 30 major controlled clinical trials of distant intercessory prayer. In other words, praying for someone on the other side of the world. And those prayers have reached that person and created healing. There's been many, many studies with that. Healing studies have also confirmed in non-humans, plants, animals, and microbes, not only just in the shared humanity from us, from the human perspective, but from the planet Earth from that perspective. It has even shown biochemical reactions which show that the healing response in humans cannot possibly be attributed just only to the placebo, but it's also possibly to the power of the positive thinking of the person who is giving out those thoughts and those feelings. Scientists have also confirmed spooky action between photons, separated at a large distance, even across the world. So in other words, a photon on this side of the world responds on the other side of the world in a split second. It is faster than the speed of light. They can't figure out what speed it is, but it's instant response. There's a connection. There's a connection between everything. And for some of you may have heard about this, there's random number generators which are placed across the world. And these random number generators sense the vibration of what's going on in the emotional field of humans, is what it does. And so these random number generators actually, prior to an event, so one of the examples they give is prior to 9/11, there was a jump in the random number generator frequency that was responding something in the human field that we knew something was going to happen, even though consciously we could not name it. So there is that awareness that is shared by all of us that we don't understand, we don't comprehend, and even scientists to this day are just learning more and more about it. There was an article that just came out, it was last week, and it said, scientists are beginning to realize that the universe itself is conscious. You know, many great healers have always known that. You know, but scientists now are beginning to admit there's a consciousness in our universe that we can tap into. There's also been 120 further randomized controlled studies of healing with the healer's hands being held near the body. Institute of Noetic Sciences is a good place to go look at some of those studies. And that even a distance of even 1,000 miles with that person imagining their hands over the person's body can create healing. So there are really profound connections that we have with each other for good. But also, too, those profound connections can also be used for not so good. I believe that when we're thinking about someone in a negative way, we're actually adding to the negative energy of that person's field. When we think about someone in a very positive way, with love, with compassion, with understanding, regardless of their behavior or their appearances of how they're acting now, it has that potential to change us. We have a shared humanity that is beyond anything that I can logically explain, and that even the scientists can logically explain. Scientists are also reporting evidence that, contrary to the beliefs about what is possible, intact double-stranded DNA has the amazing ability to recognize similarities in other DNA strands from a distance. Okay, so the experiments are really amazing. So how do we know that one mind, one humanity exists? There are two main ways. First, people have experiences in which mind interacts and shares information at great distances and outside of the present. It's just not related to the present. You know, we live in what's called past, present, and now, past, present, and future. But there's even been experiments done with prayer to where they took a series of patients from 10 years ago. They didn't identify them. They broke them into two groups, and they had prayer done with both groups. And one of them was for healing and less complications. And when they went back and looked in retrospect of those 5 years, the people that were prayed for healing with less complications were the exact ones in that group. How does that happen going back in time? I have no clue, and even the scientists can't explain it, but it does happen. The other thing is that we could not do this, or that these things could not happen if these minds were isolated. They must be united and connected for these experiences to occur. Second, there's hundreds of actual experiments that confirm these interactions. So experience and experiments show that our minds are connected in many, many ways that go beyond separateness. One of the examples that I found was, this was years ago, This was actually in World War II. It was called the Big Ben Minute, and it was an initiative intended to provide moral and spiritual support for the Allied war in World War II. The Big Ben Minute involved this: a daily practice by millions of people of 1 minute silence during the chiming of Big Ben on the BBC radio immediately following or before the 9 p.m. news, all right? These series of massive peace meditations organized in Sri Lanka in the 1990s, okay, also helped to facilitate a peaceful resolution in Sri Lanka also. So in the BBC, they saw a change in the actions and activities of the war, and less action and activity in war, okay? And then in Sri Lanka, and something similar like that, it helped to actually facilitate the peaceful resolution, okay, in that country. So what has happened? Why the disconnect? We're victims of a collective hypnosis, a cultural trance that has convinced us that the one mind cannot be possibly true, that the one humanity, the shared humanity, cannot be true. So if you take out a coin out of your pocket, you know that it has two sides, correct? So it's the same thing with us, okay? Our task is to honor both sides of our coin, our individuality as individuals, but also as our unity. Our oneness suggests that we should revise and upgrade the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and be kind to others, because in some sense they are you. One of the most important elements of life is the recognition of our shared humanity is compassion. Compassion is shared characteristic of being human. Compassion, or to suffer with, implies a basic mutuality in the experience of suffering. When you looked around this morning and you saw people that had that shared human experience of possibly suffering, of pain, of heartache, you know, those are the things that unite us together, and so are the joys. So are all the good things that we experience. When we're in touch with our common humanity, we remember that feelings of inadequacy and disappointment and love and kindness are all universal. The recognition of the common humanity triggered by self-compassion allows us to be more understanding and less judgmental about our inadequacies. This naturally expands to an ability to express unconditional, positive regard for others. So I was listening to it was a webinar yesterday, and they were talking about the shadow self. And what this gentleman was talking about is that what we're seeing out there today and all the negativity is the shadow self of all the individuals being projected out into the world. And when we come within ourselves and we take a look at ourselves and say, what is this hate about? Where in my life do I hate? Where in my life is there not peace? Then we stop looking at others as blaming others. So I'd encourage all of us to just take a look and say, when something makes you angry or upset, take a look and say, where is it coming from? Maybe it reminds me of a situation in my life. Maybe it reminds me of a person in my life. Maybe it's my ex that reminds me of, you know, something like that. Figure out where it's coming from, because the source of it is actually within. It's not outside of us, it's within us. One person can begin a chain reaction that ultimately results in a world that works for everyone. Okay, there's a story about a woman who goes to the gates of heaven and asks for God's help. She looks at God and she says, who's going to fix all these problems? Okay, God replies, I have sent you. Okay, so it's up to each one of us, each one of us to do something, to speak up, to even do what is called subtle activism. There's a book that I'll mention by David Nicole, and it's called Subtle Activism. And that means even through our thinking and our meditation, we can change things by our thoughts. Even the example of intercessory prayer is a good example. There's another book that I absolutely love that I would recommend for everyone. And it's called Creating a World That Works for All by Sharif Abdullah. And that's an excellent book. And I'll also have a list for you of anything that I've mentioned here. any references that I've mentioned will be on a sheet in the back. You can pick them up and take those home if you want. And if we run out of them, I'll make some more copies. So here's another example. The Maharishi experiments, this was done many years ago, back in the 1970s. And these were repeated in the 1980s, 1980s, 1990s, and in the 2000s. These were experiments that demonstrated that a small group of folks meditating does change the environment. And this was a case where they picked some cities across the U.S. One of them was a population of 300,000 people. So what they did, they took 1/10 squared of the population. So 1/10 squared of a population of 1/10 of that population would be 3,000, and then the square root of that would be 54. So 54 people in a population of 300,000. Imagine that, okay? They were instructed to meditate at a certain time of day and visualize and imagine peace and calm and quiet. And as a result, okay, there was actually reduced crime and reduced violence in those cities. Okay, so it's possible that, in the Bible it says where 2 or more are gathered. I really believe that we as human beings are very powerful in our thoughts. We're powerful in many different ways. Powerful in our thinking, powerful in what we put out there into the universe. So the book, David Nicole, it's called Subtle Activism, The Inner Dimension of Social and Planetary Transformation. And basically, he does something similar if you look him up online. And again, these things are actually listed on that sheet back there. You can look them up. He does meditations to where you can join online for a meditation, and you can actually take part in exactly that. Extending out peace and love and joy and all good things out into the world. So how do we reconnect with our natural state of being? Because I really believe our natural state of being is all those good things. All of those good things that are love, their peace, it's joy, it's all of those good things that are out there. So we live in a world where individuality, diversity, and uniqueness are celebrated. We admire the individualism, the initiative, the free thinkers, and those who have developed new ways of doing things. But what if individualism, or too much individualism, is fracturing the very basis of connecting us together with each other? It could be it's a major cause of detachment and problems that we're facing right now in our human culture. Okay, well, it's okay, it's more than okay to promote, appreciate, and honor diversity, whether cultural, physical, and value uniqueness, for all the blessings that they are in general. This is a marvelous thing and should be something that grows and spreads throughout all the corners and pockets of the world. Yet the knowledge that we are one and we share the same spiritual and biological origin, we're made of the same stuff. Our DNA has the potential to react to another person's DNA. Remember that through the experiments, okay? We share the same ball called Earth, and we are interconnected through a quantum field that is known as the universe, and beyond has the potential to connect people to a deep level in a fractured world. I believe that people have forgotten how to relate, and they think that liking or giving a sad face or a whatever on Facebook is relating. It's expressing, but it's not necessarily relating. It's not truly relating. I believe this is why people are feeling disconnected. They're feeling disconnected. And then when we feel disconnected, what happens is that in this book, Sharif Abdullah says there are some things that happen. There are some things that happen when we feel disconnected. He calls them the 4 symptoms of spiritual starvation. Anger and violence is the first one. When someone feels like that there's some spiritual starvation, and take that back, it's human starvation of that connectivity, that need to connect to another person, that need to really connect, to communicate, to talk with, all right? Not engage with banter on social media necessarily, okay? They're really having a face-to-face and a heart-to-heart talk with that person. So the 4 symptoms of spiritual starvation, the first ones are anger and violence. The next one is escapist behavior, which I think that social media could be classified underneath escapist behavior, as well as there's many other things that can be classified under that. The other one is just plain denial and numbing. The increase in drug use, alcohol abuse, addictions, all right, is a sign that we're losing our connection to each other. We're losing that heartfelt centered to where I can communicate directly with another person. And then the 4th one is control and manipulation. All of those are actually the 4, what he calls the 4 symptoms of spiritual starvation. So we believe that we have the ability to create a more inclusive world. So how do we begin? So I would suggest that we choose to begin with the small actions that you take every single day. Make those actions very apparent to a person that you are sending out those vibes, those vibrations of love and acceptance. Conversation has the power to reveal what we have in common. And I'm not talking about talking at someone or having a banter on Facebook, okay? And I'm not talking about the conversations geared to trying to convince someone to change their mind, all right? I think it was Stephen Covey that says, seek to understand first before being understood. And so seek for understanding. This will help break down the biases that's in between some people, you know, the judgment, all right? And connect from the heart, not from the head. You know, we have a tendency to connect at the intellectual level versus the heart level with each other. And so connecting at the heart level is so important. So Mother Teresa said, if we have no peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. So the one mind includes all individual minds. It includes thoughts, emotions, feelings, and cognition. The one mind involves a vivid sense of connection and unity with all sentient life, right? Not just us as humans, the animals, the plants, all aspects of our beautiful earth. It also is an overarching principle that makes our individual awareness possible. Without our awareness then, the human beings probably have I would say the most highest level of awareness and the ability to actually discern and to look at and then to interpret more than any other animal on the planet. And we have that potential with that ability to do that. So if we're looking at our problems are enormous. Global climate change, environmental degradation, pollution, overpopulation, water scarcity, hunger, food insecurity, endless wars, religious strife. I can go on and on and on that list. But nearly all these problems are caused by individuals or groups of individuals who represent either a particular culture, a race, a tribe, a country, or religion, who are competing with other individuals of different views. In other words, they're choosing to see, if I'm part of this, I am choosing to see myself as separate, or if I'm in that group, I'm choosing to see this group as separate from everyone else. And that is not a case. We have a shared humanity with each and every one of us. Many times we cannot see beyond our individual self, our tribe, our religion, our culture. All these problems are compounded by greed and selfishness. Put another way, we are fragmented. We are destroying our planet's life support systems. It's going to be difficult to confront these problems, but it can be done. But we have to deal with our own fragmentation at our own human soul level, on our individual level. And before we do that, before we seek to do that for the group, each and every one of us, if we take a look at our soul level and see where the sense of separateness is and heal that. We need a profound shift in our sense of how we relate with one another. And I believe this shift is possible by reimagining how we connect with others through our consciousness. This us against them competitive mode is not going to see us through. It's not. A shift to a one-mind perspective may be our best alternative, a sense of unity that is experienced at the deepest emotional level. And when I'm talking about the us of against them, I'm talking about all aspects. And when I talk about all aspects, I'm talking about politics. I'm talking about individuals who appear to be doing wrong. I'm talking about everything, not just everything that is good. So just to be very clear, it's about everything and everyone. So at the end of the day, we are all human beings doing the best we can with the lives we've been given. It's as simple and complicated as that. And keeping this in mind, if we can take the time to remember and to act and to believe and hope that we can create ripples of love throughout the world. Okay, so how do you do that? How do we create ripples of love throughout the world? So the first one thing I would suggest to you to do is to take a look at your energy that you're emanate out there into the world. Take a look at the things in our own lives. I'm constantly, as a practitioner, taking a look inwardly and saying, what still needs to be healed? What needs to be worked on? And life has a way of showing up things, bringing things into my life to say, yes, it's still there. Because whatever is unhealed in us is being brought to our attention. So I would suggest that you take some time for introspective, reflection, contemplation, and figure out what needs to be healed within each and every one of us. Absolutely know this, is that you are powerful. Your thoughts, your words, your beliefs, and actions are always in constant creation. Always in constant creation. Not just the good thoughts, all thoughts. Okay? Know this also. You are resilient, and just because some days may have been more difficult than others, doesn't mean that life has to continue to be difficult. Remember also that compassion is never wasted. And it's always appreciated. It's easy to demonize and to dehumanize others when we make people wrong. Cultivate compassion and kindness instead. The next one here, this goes kind of like with the first one. Remember to take responsibility. Ask yourself if you're perpetuating any of the problems that you wish to solve. It may even be unconscious. You may not even be aware that you're perpetuating it. So it's up to us to change the course of the world. If you hear someone speaking harmful and hurtful things, speak up. If you see someone targeting someone else for their race, religion, appearance, be brave and take a stand. If you have a cause that you feel isn't being served, how can you lend a hand? How can you help? And remember this one. You are never, ever, ever alone. You look around you and you see all the people that you're connected to just within this congregation. Look around this community and see all the people that we're connected to, all throughout this whole city, all throughout this whole state, all throughout this whole country. Whether or not we like it or not, we are truly all in this together, and we might feel like that it's hard to fit in or find your place. But belonging stems first from you, inside of you, and then it beams out to the world and to those who you are meant to be with. And just so that you know, you will always belong here with us in this community. When you meditate and pray, know, absolutely know, that every time you meditate and pray, you are connecting to that universal love, that divine essence in all and through all. So I do believe that there are small ripples of love, compassion that are cultivated not only in this community, but many communities, and these have the power to make great positive changes. I'm also honored and privileged to be a part of it. Thank you for all being here, constantly showing up, being open and willing to do the work. And for those of you that may be new, the way we do the work is through our classes, through meditation, through prayer, through, workshops, different things, and there's lots of workshops here that Reverend Laura has put together, and we're so grateful for her for doing that. So thank you for being here, showing up, and being open and willing to do the work that we all need to do in the world, that we would like to be, that we live in. So I'm wishing you all a beautiful week, filled with lots of love, happiness, and peace. And so it is.
So it is.
Let's take a minute. Just take a deep breath. Just close your eyes for a minute. Just settling into this spot, this place, this beautiful place of absolute oneness, of connection, of interconnectedness between all, every sentient being, every aspect of earth, all cultures, all races, all religion. Absolutely knowing that we are all connected in this one space, this one place. And may we choose to always hold the highest and best thoughts for all, for every situation, every circumstance. May we emanate from within all that is good, all that is great, all that is absolutely amazing. I give thanks for this day, give thanks for this congregation, for Reverend Laura, for all who have been here today, the ushers, the greeters, the sound people, the music people, the practitioners in support of this center. I give thanks for this and release it into the law, and so it is.
So it is.
You can study with the best of teachers from winter till fall, and listen to the greatest speakers in the finest of halls. But until you find the silence, you'll have nothing to show, because there's more in a quiet moment than you could ever know. You could travel to the farthest corners of this world alone, ponder all the great religions that mankind has known. But until you find the silence, you'll continue to roam, because there's more in a quiet moment than you could ever know. There's a place that everybody just be still and good. Then you'll find in that quiet moment all you want is to know. In the silence of our soul is waiting, a voice still and small, in a garden full of love and blessings God made for us all. From the heart our spirit's calling, showing us the way home. There's so much in a quiet moment. Just be still and go.
offering. All right, so if you just take your offering and hold it against your heart and repeat after me. Divine love as me
Divine love as me.
blesses and multiplies all that I have,
Blesses and multiplies all that I have.
all that I give,
All that I give.
all that I receive,
All that I receive.
and all that I am.
And all that I am.
And so it is.
And so it is. You are the hearts, you are the hands, you are the voice, the spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice, the spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice, the spirit on earth, and all we do, and all we go is a blessing to the world.
We thank you for these gifts. One life, one spirit. Dedicating these gifts to the running of this center, to expanding out that love, that sharing, that community out into the world. I release this blessing into the law, knowing it is so, and so it is. So it is.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice, the spirit on earth, and all you do, and all you do is a blessing to the world.
All right, announcements. We have lots going on at the center. You can also, if you're viewing online, you can go to our website and look at the calendar tab, and you can see all the events that's going on this week. So we have upcoming classes, Foundations Science of Mind, that begins February 19th. And so that you know, that's a foundations class. If you're thinking about running for office for the board of directors, that you have to have at least that class in place. So that begins, it's a 10-week class, that is a paid class, and I'm not sure exactly what the fee is for that, but $200, okay. Believe also there's a sign-up sheet on the table back there. Reverend Laura's installation is coming up February 22nd. There's a sign-up sheet, but also too, Gwen would like to talk a little bit about her installation.
Briefly, very briefly. So it's February the 22nd. February the 22nd at 7 o'clock. I've got a sign-up list in the back, and I know some of you have already signed up. The change is that we're not doing a potluck. Everything's going to be provided. So basically, we need muscle moving chairs and tables and other things. So if you're so inclined, please sign up with your name, phone number, and email so that I can contact you and Roger. Roger and I can contact you with more specifics as to what time to arrive at. Any questions?
If you haven't been, this is a really cool gathering. Ministers will be coming from all over, and they dress in their cool spiritual garb. It's an amazing evening.
Yeah, it is, and we have a photographer too. Callista has volunteered, which, yay, thank you. She's been practicing this morning, so if you see her clicking the camera, that's what it's about. All right. Workshop coming up February 23rd, the Enneagram Experience with Melissa and Z. Melissa and Z are ministers from Las Vegas that are great friends with Reverend Laura. So there's information on the back table about that. or just show up. The investment for that is $40, and that is from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. All right, if you're interested in running for an office, there's going to be 2 openings. Please make sure that you complete a membership form. There is a prerequisite that you've had to have taken or are in right now, the Foundations 101 class, the Foundations class coming up. You can actually consider running for office for that, but you have to have Foundations or Beyond Limits actually in place for that. All right, so back on that table also is a sign-up sheet. The Center for Spiritual Living in Golden, that oversees all of the Centers for Spiritual Living across the U.S., is having a virtual convention on March 4th through the 7th. We have actually invested in being able to broadcast it from here. Now, you don't have to sit and watch the whole thing, but if you'd like to watch any of it or all of it, please sign up on the sign-up sheet. We'd like to get an idea as how many people are possibly interested. So it will be the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. You can watch any or all of it. As the dates get closer, we'll have an idea what the content is. But they're going to have virtual workshops via Zoom. They're going to have many gatherings for members and also practitioners and ministers, a word presentation, the business meeting, of course, many other things during that. So if you're interested in attending any or all of that, and you would come here to watch it, because we are actually now officially going to be a site where you can come in and watch that. There is a sign-up sheet in the back. The annual membership meeting is on March the 17th. That's from 1 until 3 p.m. And that is going to be a covered dish and potato, I think that is. I think she said potato, right? For Irish potatoes, yes, for St. Pat's Day. All right. The taxable contribution letters are in the back on the basket to my right. And then also back there, I've left some copies of some of the references that I cited in my talk today, so you can pick one of those up. If you run out of them, come to me and I'll make a few more copies, okay, if there happen to be none back there. All right, Science of Mind discussion. Chris McCardle and Gwen Hadley, all right, are going to have that on Monday night. And so basically what that is what did Sharon say on Sunday? All right, and so they'll be talking about what was it that she meant when she said this. They have a copy of my sermon as well as also the reference list. So that's a great discussion. And my understanding, they've had some lively discussions, right?
No, we've had some really good discussions.
Good discussions.
Actually, every week has been a great discussion.
Awesome. The book study this month is Beyond Religion by the Dalai Lama. That's held by Reverend Laura on Wednesdays from 2:30 to 4 p.m. Meditation and More is on Wednesday nights, and that's also Reverend Laura, and sometimes one of us practitioners will substitute in for her. And that is an exploration of the various types of meditation and then some discussion afterwards. Reverend Laura's office hours have changed as of a couple weeks ago. She's now here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 1 to 5 p.m. And I believe she has a sign-up sheet on the back where you can sign in and you can actually schedule an appointment with her. After service, be sure to check out our bookstore for the unique gifts and books. And then after service, our practitioner, Mary Klein, will be in this room, the practitioner's office, for a 1 minute, it's called Miracle Prayer. And if you've never experienced affirmative prayer before, that's a great opportunity. If you have an issue, come in, if the door's closed, that means someone's in there, just wait around, and then Mary will come out and take you in for a 1 minute miracle prayer. All right, coffee and goodies, all right, are available in the kitchen. And if you'd like to contribute and bring anything, please do so. That they're always welcome, for that. Our congregation does like goodies, okay? All right, so please stand, all right, and just repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening to me.
Something wonderful is happening to me.
It is this thing called life.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my finances.
Life is in my finances.
Life is in my relationships.
Life is in my relationships.
Life is in my work.
Life is in my work.
I think it.
I think it.
I feel it.
I feel it.
I believe it.
I believe it.
I accept it.
I accept it.
I express it.
I express it.
Just the way it is becoming.
Just the way it is becoming.
And so it is.
And so it is. It's a new day.
My way. The doubts, they are no match for me. I'll take my faith and fly because I know that I am creating my own destiny. Right, this storm, it has no power here. I'm a mighty force in spirit's atmosphere. So I choose to grow, yes, I choose to thrive. This morning will not be denied. It's a new day today, it's a new life my way. There are no match for me. I'll take my faith and fly because I know that I am creating my own destiny. Right here, right now, I think that I am home. There is nothing else that I need to know. So I affirm my worth and I'm deserving of God's goodness abounding in love. A new day today, it's a new life my way. The past they have no match for me. I'll take my faith and fly because I know that I am creating my own destiny. I am creator of my destiny.